Today, we're diving into some classic yet surprisingly modern ways to save money and live more sustainably, all inspired by Grandma's timeless wisdom. We're exploring 20 old-fashioned frugal living tips you can try right now, from harvesting natural dyes and making homemade soap to setting up a community root cellar and so much more. Number 1. Harvesting natural dyes. Grandma didn't just buy fabric paint or modern dyes. She often relied on plants, food scraps, and other natural materials to color old clothes or refresh faded fabrics. Online frugal communities highlight how onion skins create warm yellow tones, avocado pits yield soft pinks, and walnut shells bring out deep browns. This approach saves on the cost of commercial dyes, and it repurposes kitchen byproducts that might otherwise be thrown away. Some people even collect fallen leaves or use leftover coffee grounds to experiment with earthy shades. It's not just about color, but also about reinforcing a mindset of finding value in what's literally right in front of you. Articles suggest letting dyed items soak for longer to achieve richer hues, while using additives like vinegar or salt as a natural fixative. These techniques are time-tested, yet they feel new and exciting for individuals who are exploring sustainable living. Grandma's generation treated this as an art form that brought fresh life to worn-out textiles, and today's DIY enthusiasts often marvel at how beautifully subtle these colors can be. By revisiting natural dyeing, you connect with an older tradition that transforms scraps into something entirely new, which is an incredibly frugal and creative way to save money while enjoying a unique craft. Number 2, making lye soap from scratch. Many folks consider soap making an outdated skill, but Grandma's era treated it as part of household self-sufficiency. Current online forums devoted to homesteading talk about the surprising cost-effectiveness of homemade soap, especially when you reuse leftover cooking fats. They also emphasize the freedom to control ingredients, which can be helpful for those with sensitive skin or allergies. The process involves mixing lye, sodium hydroxide, with rendered fats or oils, then letting the mixture cure for several weeks. Some modern soap makers use goat's milk or coconut oil for particular scents and textures. While the initial steps might sound intimidating, numerous articles break down safety precautions. Always wear gloves and mix lye in a well-ventilated area. Once you get the hang of it, soap making can supply your household needs for pennies per bar. Grandma likely saved every scrap of bacon grease or drippings in jars, which she then refined for soap production. Doing so in the modern era not only helps you avoid purchasing mass-produced bars, but also cuts down on kitchen waste, turning what might go in the trash into a useful item that can last months. Number 3, building a community root cellar. Grandma's social circle often shared storage spaces, especially if they lived near each other and had limited individual cellars. Modern homestead blogs talk about the cost and resource savings of a shared root cellar, where everyone contributes to the maintenance and reaps the benefits. This approach protects produce like potatoes, carrots, and turnips from extreme weather, extending their shelf life through the winter. Communities working together on such projects see reduced grocery bills and closer neighborly relationships. A properly constructed cellar uses the natural insulation of the earth, minimizing reliance on electricity for refrigeration. Humidity levels and temperatures remain fairly stable, which is key for preventing spoilage. Old-school designs often use thick, insulated doors and shelves arranged for proper airflow. By revisiting this practice today, people can stock up on seasonal sales or harvests, store everything in a communal cellar, and share the upkeep responsibilities. It also means less energy consumption overall, aligning with modern, eco-conscious values. Root cellaring is a lost art in many places, but tutorials and deep dive discussions on the internet guide those wanting to build or restore one. Number 4, practicing organized gleaning. Grandma might have walked country roads or asked local farmers for gleanings, the leftover produce after main harvests. Today, gleaning groups coordinate with local farms, orchards, or markets to gather unharvested fruits and vegetables and distribute them among community members. Online resources highlight that a significant amount of food goes to waste in fields once the main commercial harvest is done. By organizing gleaning trips, participants can stock up on fresh items that would otherwise rot or be tilled under. This benefits farmers too, who appreciate reduced waste and sometimes receive a charitable donation in return. The arrangement often feels more neighborly and old-fashioned than simply buying everything at the store. In bigger cities, gleaning can focus on farmers' markets, where near-close produce is sometimes sold at steep discounts or even given away. People then preserve or can the items, making the most of the free bounty. Grandma's ethic of waste not, want not shows up in gleaning initiatives, bridging the gap between past frugality and modern collective action. Number 5. Rebatching candle wax. While most people toss out candle stubs, Grandma would collect them in a tin, melt everything together, and create new candles in recycled containers. Present-day discussions on frugal and zero-waste groups point to this as a clever way to avoid continually buying fresh candles. You can gather different wax scraps, remove leftover wicks, and then melt them carefully using a double boiler method. Adding a fresh wick in the center of a jar or metal tin transforms random wax odds and ends into a new candle. Some people add essential oils to upgrade the scent, while others embrace the unscented option. This practice taps into that older mindset of turning trash into something useful. Safety tips are crucial. Never leave melting wax unattended and pour slowly to prevent splashes. But once you get comfortable, it's a satisfying project that costs almost nothing. If you enjoy candlelight for ambiance or emergency preparedness, reusing wax aligns perfectly with an old-fashioned spirit of thrift. Number 6. Using a Switchel hydration drink. Grandma's generation might have sipped a homemade beverage called Switchel, sometimes known as Haymaker's Punch, especially during hot afternoons on the farm. It's made of water, vinegar, ginger, and a sweetener like molasses or honey. Modern health enthusiasts note that Switchel is a cheap alternative to commercial sports drinks, offering a balance of electrolytes, natural sugar, and tangy flavor. Articles comparing Switchel to store-bought beverages point out the savings and the lack of artificial additives. The drink is surprisingly refreshing, and it aligns with a more natural approach to hydration, something Grandma would have sworn by. You can adjust the sweetness or the level of ginger to your taste, making it versatile for people with different preferences. Some variations add fruit juices for a modern twist, but the underlying principle remains. You don't need to pay for pricey bottled beverages when you can whip up an energizing drink at home. Once again, it's about using everyday items, apple cider vinegar, ginger root, honey, that people already have in the kitchen. Number 7. Brewing herbal tonics and teas. Growing or foraging herbs like chamomile, mint, and lemon balm was a normal part of Grandma's routine, as these plants created cost-effective remedies for common ailments. Now, you can find a resurgence of interest in herbalism, with entire websites and forums devoted to safe home remedies. For instance, some articles tout mint tea as a quick digestive soother, while chamomile can calm nerves and help with sleep. A small patch of herbs in your yard or in containers on a balcony might be all you need to skip expensive packaged teas and ready-made tonics. Learning which herbs thrive in your climate, how to dry them, and how to blend them for flavor and health benefits revives a time-honored skill. Grandma would likely smile to see how many younger adults are returning to these traditions, crafting their own herbal blends to soothe coughs or simply relax in the evening. Proper identification of wild plants is crucial, of course, but once you're confident, the savings and the sense of empowerment can be tremendous. Number 8. Storing eggs in water glass. Before modern refrigeration was standard, Grandma might have preserved fresh eggs in a solution of water glass, also called sodium silicate, to keep them usable for extended periods. Contemporary blogs that focus on traditional food preservation have renewed interest in this technique. It's important to use only clean, fresh, unwashed eggs and make sure the solution is sterile, but the payoff is a supply of eggs that can last for months without spoiling. This method can help people who raise chickens or those who find a bulk deal on farm eggs. Resources online detail the ratios of water to sodium silicate, emphasizing proper containers like food-grade buckets with tight lids. While it may sound extreme by today's standards, it's actually a safe and proven practice when done correctly. Such old-world preservation methods are especially relevant during times of fluctuating egg prices, as you can store a surplus when costs are low and rely on it later. It's one more example of Grandma's no-nonsense tactics that still resonate for money-conscious and preparedness-minded adults. Number 9. Bartering skills in the neighborhood. Grandma's frugal generation often swapped labor and skills rather than paying cash for every little service. Today, platforms for skill exchanges exist, but you can keep it simple by talking to neighbors about what everyone is good at. Maybe you can fix computers while someone else bakes amazing pies or does sewing repairs. Online discussions about community resilience point out that bartering can save hundreds of dollars each year for individuals and foster closer relationships. You don't have to be an expert in your field. People often just appreciate someone taking the time to help. Examples from modern bartering circles include offering childcare in exchange for yard work, trading home-baked bread for a haircut, or even swapping homemade jam for help painting a room. The deeper lesson from Grandma's time is that everyone has something to offer, and not all transactions need to be driven by cash. This can reduce dependence on purchased goods and services while promoting a sense of camaraderie that's increasingly rare in a digital world. Searching your local social media pages for bartering groups can open doors to new, cost-effective possibilities. Number 10. Saving bacon grease for cooking. Today, many folks cringe at the idea of collecting grease in a can, but Grandma saw it as liquid gold. She'd strain the grease to remove bits of food, store it in a jar, and use it for frying eggs or sautéing vegetables. Despite current health trends, some diets still embrace animal fats in moderation, and articles highlight that bacon grease imparts a rich flavor to dishes. If you're watching your saturated fats, you can still adopt the concept by reserving other cooking fats like leftover pan drippings from a roast. This reduces the need to purchase additional oil and cuts down on waste. Modern frugal cooks recommend storing grease in the fridge or freezer for safety, especially if you plan to keep it for more than a few days. By turning what might be tossed into a valuable cooking ingredient, you replicate that old-fashioned approach of leaving nothing behind. It might not be for everyone, but for those who enjoy hearty flavors and want to honor a traditional practice, saving bacon grease can significantly enhance your meals without costing a dime extra. Number 11. Using flour sack towels for everything. Grandma prized flour sack towels because they were versatile, durable, and easy to wash. They served as dish towels, napkins, cheesecloth substitutes, and cleaning rags. Modern zero-waste and frugal households tout these towels as cost-effective replacements for paper towels, which quickly add up in your monthly budget. Flour sack towels are lint-free, making them perfect for tasks like polishing glassware or drying salad greens. They're also strong enough for heavy kitchen cleaning. If you're feeling extra crafty, you can embroider them or add decorative fabric trim, just like Grandma might have done for a special occasion. Articles and video tutorials online detail how to properly launder them to maintain absorbency, suggesting you skip the fabric softener. Over time, investing in a few high-quality flour sack towels can spare you the expense of countless disposable items, and they're more environmentally friendly. This old-fashioned solution feels refreshingly simple. A single multi-purpose towel that stands up to frequent use and retains its utility for ages. Number 12. Setting up a communal sewing circle. In Grandma's day, a sewing circle wasn't just about stitching, it was a social gathering where people exchanged tips, patterns, and scrap materials. Reviving this concept now can lead to cost savings on clothing repairs and home decor projects. Through online meetup groups or local bulletin boards, you can find others who want to mend their own clothes or learn new sewing techniques. Experienced sewers can teach novices how to patch holes, hem pants, or even craft decorative quilts. This group dynamic fosters a space where leftover fabric pieces can be swapped rather than tossed, generating fresh ideas for repurposing old textiles. Articles on modern frugal living emphasize how shared knowledge leads to fewer mistakes and less wasted fabric, ultimately saving money. Plus, a communal sewing circle reflects that sense of community support Grandma enjoyed. It's not just about clothes. It's also about building relationships, sharing stories, and keeping a time-tested art form alive in the digital age. Number 13. Raising micro livestock. While Grandma might have had a full chicken coop or even a pig in the backyard, that's not always feasible in modern settings. However, smaller-scale micro livestock, like quail or even rabbits, are increasingly discussed in urban homesteading blogs. Quail eggs are nutrient-dense, and the birds require less space and feed compared to chickens. Rabbits can provide both meat and nutrient-rich manure for gardens. While this tip isn't for everyone, and local regulations must be checked, it's one that frugal living enthusiasts mention as an efficient way to produce your own protein source. Articles highlight that rabbit manure, for instance, can be used directly in gardens without composting, due to its relatively mild nutrient profile. This reduces fertilizer costs and fosters a closed-loop system. Grandma's approach was to integrate livestock into daily life, so nothing went to waste. Modern micro-livestock keepers do the same, using scraps for feed, composting bedding, and enjoying the independence that comes from having a mini version of a farm right in the backyard. It might require some commitment, but in terms of sustainable, budget-friendly protein, it resonates strongly with that old frugal ethos. Number 14, hosting swap parties. Instead of going shopping for new clothes or household items, Grandma's community might have hosted a get-together where neighbors brought items they no longer needed. In modern terms, this translates to a swap party, which frugal blogs rave about for curbing the urge to buy new while refreshing your belongings. People bring clothing, books, decor, kitchen gadgets, or anything else in good condition, then trade items freely. Everyone goes home with something new to them without spending a dime. Swap parties can also be themed, like a children's toy swap or a holiday decor exchange, allowing participants to quickly update their collections at no cost. Online platforms sometimes coordinate larger-scale events in public spaces, while smaller home gatherings keep it personal and friendly. Grandma's wisdom teaches that what's old to one person is new to another, so there's no sense throwing perfectly good stuff into the trash. Modern minimalists love the idea too, citing that it reduces clutter and promotes mindful consumption. That sense of community-based resourcefulness ties directly back to Grandma's approach of sharing and reusing rather than constantly buying. Number 15, crafting rag rugs. Grandma's rag rugs were both functional and aesthetically pleasing, woven or braided from strips of old clothing, sheets, or fabric remnants. These rugs stood up to heavy foot traffic and brightened the floors with colorful patterns. Contemporary crafters and frugal enthusiasts find that making rag rugs can save money on store-bought rugs and reduce textile waste. There are tutorials that walk you through simple braiding techniques or more advanced weaving methods on a homemade loom. The beauty of rag rugs is their versatility. You can go for a rustic look or carefully select color palettes for a more refined style. They also make heartfelt gifts that carry a piece of your personal history. Maybe the strips come from Grandpa's old shirts or scraps from your own sewing projects. Articles emphasize the meditative aspect of turning scraps into something durable, reinforcing that slow, deliberate way of living where nothing is wasted. Though it might seem like a hobby at first glance, rag rug making can drastically extend the life of your fabrics while providing a cost-effective alternative to standard floor coverings. Number 16, using a money pool, or susu. Grandma's generation might have participated in informal money-saving clubs, sometimes called rotating credit associations. Today, some communities still use the term susu or tanda, where a group of people pool money each month, and one member gets the entire pot. The cycle continues until everyone has had a turn. Modern personal finance writers analyze this arrangement as a way to access a lump sum without going into debt, though it requires trust and organization. Online platforms make forming such groups easier, but the principle remains the same: a collective saving effort that can help fund major purchases, emergency needs, or even a small business startup. Because everyone contributes consistently, it encourages disciplined saving, something Grandma's era practiced out of necessity. Participating in a SUSO fosters accountability, as you don't want to let your group members down by missing a payment. This sense of communal support echoes the older tradition of neighbors helping neighbors. Yet, it remains relevant for today's adult crowd looking to avoid high-interest loans or complicated bank processes. Number 17, reusing furniture frames and springs. Instead of throwing out a worn couch or armchair, Grandma's household might have removed the upholstery, replaced the springs, and added fresh stuffing. Modern DIYers apply this same frugal approach, purchasing or salvaging older, well-built furniture and refurbishing it for far less than the cost of a new piece. Tutorials on furniture reupholstery are widespread, detailing how to strip the old fabric, repair frames, and add cushions. Some enthusiasts even salvage tufting buttons or decorative trims to maintain a vintage look. The result is a custom piece that can last decades, reminding us that older furniture was often sturdier than many contemporary mass-produced items. On forums dedicated to repurposing, people share step-by-step photos of couch transformations that might cost only the price of fabric and new foam. These projects save resources by keeping furniture out of landfills and make your living space unique. Grandma would nod approvingly at this dedication to breathing new life into a piece of furniture, rather than discarding it at the first sign of wear. Number 18. Learning to render and use tallow. When a butchered animal was brought home in Grandma's day, nothing went to waste, including the fat. Rendering beef fat into tallow was standard practice, and that tallow became the basis for candles, soap, or cooking oil. Some frugal living advocates today highlight tallow as a healthy fat alternative for high-heat cooking, while others value its moisturizing qualities in handmade lotions and soaps. Proper rendering involves gently heating trimmed fat to separate the pure oil from the solids, then straining and storing it in jars. Articles about nose-to-tail eating emphasize that this practice honors the animal's life by using every part efficiently. Beyond saving money on commercial products, rendering your own tallow connects you directly with an older food tradition that many have forgotten. While it might not be mainstream, it's a practice that exemplifies old-fashioned frugality, especially appealing to those who focus on sustainability and conscious consumption. Number 19. Repairing electronics instead of upgrading. Grandma's time didn't involve high-tech gadgets, but the mindset of mending and maintaining items, instead of replacing them easily, translates to modern electronics. Some local community centers hold repair cafes, where volunteers help fix broken appliances, phones, or laptops. Online tutorials guide you through troubleshooting common issues, from replacing a cracked screen to swapping out a battery. This approach echoes Grandma's principle of squeezing the most out of everything. Many articles note that while new phone releases tempt consumers annually, older devices remain functional with a simple repair or software update. A portion of frugal bloggers advocate for purchasing refurbished electronics instead of brand new, pointing out that it's cheaper and cuts e-waste. Part of the old-fashioned idea is that a device should serve you for as long as physically possible, rather than chasing the latest upgrade. By investing time to learn basic fixes or seeking out local repair services, you honor that older wisdom of not letting a small defect turn into a reason to discard something valuable. Number 20. Drying and saving seeds for next season. Grandma's garden didn't rely on repeatedly buying seed packets. She preserved seeds from the healthiest plants. Modern hobby farmers and home gardeners do the same to cut costs and cultivate stronger, locally adapted crops. Internet resources outline the proper way to save seeds from various vegetables, letting tomatoes fully ripen, removing the pulp, and drying them on paper towels, collecting seeds from peppers that have reached their mature color, or allowing lettuce and herbs to bolt and produce seed pods. By carefully labeling these seeds and storing them in envelopes or glass jars, you create a cycle of renewal that reduces dependency on commercial seed suppliers. Seed saving also preserves heirloom varieties that might be more flavorful or resilient. People in seed-saving networks often trade extras, building a diverse local seed bank. Grandma likely did this out of necessity, but it remains a cost-effective way to keep your garden thriving year after year. It not only saves money, but also forges a deeper connection to the natural rhythms of growing food, tying today's budget-conscious adult directly to the timeless resourcefulness that Grandma lived by.